I've come for your knitting mojo.
Hey Curators, welcome back. It is episode 36 of the Yarn Curator podcast. My name is Naomi and welcome to another little show and tell episode all about knitting and spinning. If you're a new viewer, welcome. I hope you enjoy what it is you find today and have a few laughs and all that good stuff. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. So happy to have you guys back in this space. It has been like 2 months since I have done this, so bear with me if I've forgotten things. It is my second go around recording because I forgot to turn off the ceiling fan last time and it sounded like we were in a wind tunnel when I went back to edit. It was like the entire time. So here we go, which is we'll just recreate the magic as we go. If you would like to follow me on social media where I post randomly and infrequently, I will put the links here as well as down in the description box. And you can also find a joint podcast group with my sister Zoe that we have on Ravelry called the Curated Felicity Podcast Groups. We post even more infrequently on there if you want to join in that community and are able. Today I have a lot to talk about with you guys. Like I said, it's been a few months, so I got a few things to show you. And I'm hoping by the time this publishes, which will probably be the weekend after I'm recording, it should be right around my podiversary, and so I'm thinking I'm gonna have a little giveaway at the end of this video to celebrate 2-3 years on YouTube. So click to the end of the video for those details, or stay tuned. If you're impatient, click ahead, fine, whatever. If you want to hang out until then, yeah, totally up to you. I will start showing you guys stuff from the absolute disaster of a bed next to me. Seriously, this is what you're in for. Oh no, I messed with the tripod. So first up, I do have a finished object to share with you guys. This is my Birkin Sweater. It is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. I had the pleasure of test knitting it about a month or two ago. It is one of her older designs, but there were some complaints about how the yoke fits. So she updated the pattern and sent it out for testing, and I hopped right on that test knit because, as you guys know, if you've been around here for a while, since about the new year, my knitting mojo has been sputtering, like a car about to run out of gas. It's just right along. So I did a little bit of a knitting Hail Mary. Go long! In hopes that this test knit would help kickstart the mojo. It's a pattern I've wanted to make for a really long time. And I think this pattern had the opposite effect. It was like the Grim Reaper of projects for my mojo.
I've come for your knitting mojo. But I'll also take a cup of coffee and that shawl. Have you seen the new tin can knits?
It was a struggle, and it's not because of the pattern or the way that it's written. It was total user error and probably where my mental state is. But I think this knit tried to kill the little bit of remaining mojo that I had going. I almost needed, what would like the equivalent of a knitting AED machine be?
Clear! Clear! We're gonna need some merino. Stat! And would you like to donate your organs?
You know, and the main reason for that is because I ripped back on this project so many times, and I hate ripping back on projects. I will do everything possible to avoid ripping back on a project. But for this one, I initially started with a different contrast color in the yoke, and I realized I knit about halfway through the yoke and realized I was gonna run out of yarn for that contrast color. And so I ripped it out. I tried 2 or 3 different yarns from my stash, and I just did not like the way they were knitting up with the main color. And so eventually I remembered that I know how to spin yarn, and I went into my stash and I got a braid of fiber out and spun up the contrast color for this. So this is handspun yarn. The dyer it is from is called Apothecary, and I don't remember the colorway name. I'm pretty sure this is a 100% merino yarn, and yeah, I did a 3-ply fractal, which is what causes this kind of natural gradation in color in the yoke. The main color is knit out of Brooklyn Tweed. It is their Loft base, and the colorway is called Postcard. So once I got past that, things really kind of moved and shaked with the project. Where I ended up frogging again is the sleeves. So I attempted doing a tubular bind off, and I am standing firm in my opinion that tubular bind off is overrated, and I'm just gonna say it's garbage. It's garbage because I can't do it correctly, and therefore, since I can't master this technique, it's total trash. No, I'm totally kidding, you guys. It's my fault. I know where I'm messing up. I just can't figure out what I'm doing wrong or how to remedy it. It's like you do the first 3 or 4 stitches in the sequence, and it's whatever you come through the second stitch purlwise from the back or something like that. That is where it's getting messed up. And so anyways, this sleeve, I did the tubular, I'm pretty sure. No. This sleeve, I did the tubular bind off, and it's not awful, but it's not correct. Like, you don't get that nice continuation of the stitch to the other side, so it's supposed to look seamless. But on this sleeve, I did it, and I tried following a different tutorial pattern in my stubbornness of trying to perfect this technique, and it looked like straight trash. It looked so bad. It was like it came in here, and then this side came out and like bowed, and it was weird. And I'm sorry I didn't take any video footage of it because I was so mad at it. And I am the queen of fudging and making things work, and this one just wouldn't. So I actually cut off the top of the ribbing because unpicking tubular bind off in a non-superwash yarn, it was already like felted together at that point. And so I cut it, I reattached my yarn, I reknit the rib, and I did Lori's twisty bind off. I swore off tubular bind offs and picked back up the body and finished that. I did do the split hem. The back is just a little bit longer than the front of the garment. And it is a 2x2 rib with Lori's twisty bind off at the bottom. And I knit the back, I think I knit about 3 inches, and the front I did about 2.5 inches. And mainly because I was thinking I might like to wear this with a skirt and have the back tucked in and the front out, or the front tucked in and the back out. But yeah, on the whole, aside from being the Grim Reaper of mojos, this project was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed doing the 2-color work on the chart. And if you want like the quick and dirty version of this, I will post a link to my single pattern review video of this. So yeah, I don't know if I need to like say a prayer to the knitting gods and like burn some sage in my craft room, or if I need to do some yoga with yarn. Yeah, it's just still kind of touch and go, my knitting mojo. And for a while I did have a burst, and I'll show you that in my next whip. Caitlin decided to go ahead and release the pattern earlier than the end of the test knit. And so once that pressure of needing to finish by a deadline subsided and it was like, oh, okay, I've done the part they're interested in getting the updated measurements and fit for, I can kind of take a step back from this. So I went ahead and cast on a new garment. So for this project, I am using some of Zoe's hand-dyed yarn. And for those of you who don't know, Zoe is my sister. She is Felicity Yarn Studio on Etsy as well as here on the YouTubes. And I am using a custom colorway that she dyed up for me. And I'm sure would be happy to dye for you if you so desired it. But this colorway is called Sapphire Emerald. It has a funny story behind it, but here it is. It's on her 4-ply sock base as well as a silk mohair. And so 2-ish years ago, when I wanted to knit my Soldatna, Zoe and I were texting and she dyed the yarn for me. And I really wanted like a deep sapphire blue yarn for the main color. But for some reason, I kept saying emerald in our text messages. And I don't know why I had them mixed up in my brain or why I was misspeaking. But we finally sent some pictures back and forth. I realized, you know, like the moment that I was having, and we got there in the end. All of this is to say, I caked up all this yarn back in January with every intention of casting on the waffle cardigan, which is a pattern by Knitting for Olive. I did my swatch, and then as I said, the gas tank of my knitting mojo ran out for a little bit. And so I've been staring at this yarn, wanting to knit with it all year, but just kind of being like, I don't know, I'll get to it when I get to it. And so I finally just got over myself and cast on this cardigan. I kind of took a guess. I'm sorry, I have a knot right here that I'm looking at while I talk to you guys, because we can't just sit and talk. We have to multitask as crafters. Anyways, I kind of guessed at what size I needed to make because I did my swatch back in January, and I swatched on US size 9s, which is what the pattern calls for. And halfway through my swatch, I was thinking it was going to be too big, so I went down to a US size 8. And I believe that size is still going to be too big. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and cast the project on in the US size 8s, and I did some math to see how much over my gauge, like on the US 8, I believe I was getting about 4.5 inches versus the 4 for whatever the gauge math is. You know, like 17 stitches equals 4 inches or whatever. And that for me was equaling 4.5 on US size 8s. So I did math. What I did was I divided the bust measurement 4.5, or no, I divided whatever size I was gonna knit by 4 to get, oh, how did I do it? It makes sense when I do it. I divide, yes. So what I do is I divide whatever size I'm thinking about going down to knitting. I divide it by 4, then I times it by 4.5, and that gives me a rough idea of what I'm supposed to be making. So say the bust is normally 20 inches. I divide that by 4, which would give me the measurement of, what's 20 divided by 5? That gives me 5 inches. And so then I do 5 times 4.5, which would then tell me what the new size would be, if that makes sense. I really struggle with math, you guys. So knitting math in and of itself is remarkable that I'm ever able to accomplish some of it. So yeah, and I couldn't even just do that simple fraction just now. So whatever 5 times 4.5, I think would be like 27.5 would be the adjusted gauge, if that makes sense. Anyways, all that is to say, I went down a needle size and down a pattern size. So I got my yarn ball undone, so now I can concentrate. So here is my waffle cardigan, and you'll have to excuse me, I don't remember all the details because like I said, I started it like 2 months ago. It's got this gorgeous folded collar around the top, and you do, it was a new to me cast on technique, and I apologize, I don't remember what it's called, but I'll put it on the screen. That allows you to fold it down, and then you knit the two sides together once it's long enough. And yeah, then you begin your raglan increases. And this pattern has this really pretty eyelet detail, and you do SSKs and knit two togethers to create that almost cable-like effect around the eyelets. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to adding another nice kind of big, cozy, comfortable cardigan into my wardrobe. And so here it is. It looks a smidge small right now on the needles, but I know it's going to grow with blocking. So I am glad I sized down a little bit. I don't want to pull it too tight because I don't want to pop any stitches off the needles, but yeah, it's kind of hitting right now just at my true waist. So I'm probably going to knit another few inches and then start the ribbing. But on the whole, I am super pleased with this. Just to be able to have something to throw on real easy on and off. So I actually put it down about a month ago because I set it down because I realized I made a mistake on one of the rows that I was working on, and it was late at night when I learned it. And one of the best pieces of knitting advice I have ever gotten was actually in a spin class that I was taking, which was never try and fix mistakes after 10 p.m. And it is a mantra I have lived by ever since getting that very sage advice from Maggie Casey. Thank you, Maggie. But yeah, really nice, really soothing, kind of repetitive pattern. And the only thing is every now and then you kind of want to get off on this, the stagger, you know, so it just staggers whether you're doing the knit two together or the SSK. And sometimes if you miss it, you end up going in a column. You don't get that. Sorry, that just makes me think of, you know, the meme with Shaq where he's like, and then you see the little cat with its butt wiggle. So yeah, I just need my project to keep. Anyways, yes, waffle cardigan. I absolutely love it. And pretty satisfying, almost as satisfying as a nice plate of waffles in front of you. And for anyone who's wondering, I think waffles are superior to pancakes. Let me know down below. What do you prefer, waffles or pancakes? I think it's the texture for me that wins with waffles. You get that nice crunch with the soft fluffiness of the inside. But yeah, I love waffles. I do have one more work in progress to share with you guys, and it is my boredom socks, as Gemma of the Gemma B Makes podcast called them. And I agree with you, Gemma. I will scream if I cast on one more pair of bored out of my mind with my knitting socks. So these are pretty much brought to you by my weekly staff meetings and Carmax. Not sponsored, not even a fan of either of those. And I have found that I don't think socks will be my staff meeting knitting because I don't enjoy socks. I'm already in a bad mood that we're in a meeting that's 2.5 hours long when it doesn't need to be. That it's just a doubly frustrating experience because these do not spark joy. The meeting does not spark joy. Nothing is sparking joy during the knitting of these. So yeah, I knit these mostly through meetings, and then last weekend, which is why I didn't get to record when I wanted to, I spent 5 freaking hours in the Carmax in their waiting room. And so I finished this sock and then cast on the second sock and kept going. So yeah, I will just knit this until it is roughly equivalent in size to this one and throw in some afterthought heels. And then I am done with sock knitting for another 1.5 years potentially, because I have exceeded my quota of socks. I am knitting this on US size zeros, and then the yarn I am using is from a US dyer called Fully Spun. And what she does is she dyes the fiber and sends it off to be milled, and that's how you get this beautiful gradient effect with her yarns. And she has some absolutely gorgeous colorways. And so yeah, this was actually one of the colors I tried in my Birkin. I didn't like the way it was knitting up, and the yarn was calling to me though, and I had no inspiration whatever. So this was once again another Hail Mary. Probably failed. Not the Music City Miracle. Anyways, so yeah, that's my other whip, and they'll get done when they get done, if they get done. But what I have been lacking in Knitting Mojo, I have more than made up for in big spin energy. Big spin energy, you guys. And if you want to know what I mean, this is what I mean by big spin energy. I have been just putting my new electric eel wheel through the paces, and yeah. So back in January, once again, I set out to spin 5 braids of yarn from a dyer called Wound Up Fiber Arts, not Wound Up, which is what I read it as whenever I look at her name, but Wound Up. And her fiber is gorgeous. She does like speckled dyed yarn, so you get this really kind of varied effect in the fiber. And this was back from a big purchase I made last year with the intention of spinning a fade. And I believe this is the only one I've shown off before. This is her Olive Garden colorway. I have since finished the 4 other braids that I purchased as part of this faded spin. This is Scarecrow. And as you can see, it's all these lovely yellows and golds and browns. There's a little bit of kind of like a grayish brown in there. And then next up is Sugar Plum. I actually bought this after the initial large purchase, but it is her custom Christmas fiber colorway that she did last year. I believe this one is called Everlasting, and it picks up those yellows and purples and moves into some darker greens and blues. And last but not least is this one, which I don't remember the name of the colorway of, but I'll put it on the screen. And it's kind of a more saturated version of Everlasting. I think one might be called Afterlife or something like that. But that is what those look like. And I had purchased, I remember I added one, I bought one after I had made my initial big purchase, and I was like, oh, well, this will round things out and make it work together better. And I always struggle to hold multiple things up. So that is what those all look like together. And yeah, I don't think they quite work as a fade. I mean, I think I could probably make these 3 work together, or the purple, but not with some of the others. I don't think these 2 would work good together, but I don't know if it translates into these. But anyways, all of that is to say, I was originally thinking I would make these into a sweater. As is a knitter's prerogative, I have changed my mind, and I think these are going to become Vertices Unite. I think that'll make a really cute, they all complement each other, but you still got some good contrast with that pattern. And so yeah, I'm super excited. So yeah, and then with this I have a little mini skein that I spun up from all the leftover singles. Let's see if I can get these kind of fiber, the strings holding it all together, out of the way so you guys can see it. So I just took all the singles and did another 3-ply mini skein, and I would just add in a new single as one came off the bobbin. And yeah, so that kind of rounds everything out. And I actually really like the way this mini came out because everything complements each other well within there. So I really like that. But yeah, I'm really excited to have kind of moved this fiber out of my stash and move it into a project. The other thing I've contemplated doing is a hand spun blanket, because I've been working with a lot more of my hand spun over the last year, and I have a lot of partial skeins left over. So maybe a granny stripe blanket, or maybe hold them together into something nice and big and chunky. But I currently have a blanket on the needles, and I would like to get a little bit further in that before, you know, committing to another large and in charge project. So yeah, I do have to say though, all kidding aside, wound up, her fiber is stunning. It's the softest fiber I've ever worked with in terms of like a commercially processed merino, and fiber can be incredibly finicky in the dyeing process, and I've never received a felted braid from her. It's like spinning butter, and it's so beautiful, and she has so many beautiful color combinations, and all of that is to lead in to say, I bought more of her yarn, or more of her fiber, I bought more. So I did decide to try one of her other blends. This is her Super Wash Merino, Bamboo, and Nylon. It's a 60-30-10, and for whatever reason with this batch of fiber that I got from her, none of the colorways are labeled like they normally are, which is fine. I can just look up. Sorry, I almost dropped it. I can just look it up in my email, the order history, but I got this beautiful kind of galaxy inspired braid with lovely purples and blues and blacks. What prompted me to go to her website and look was that she had restocked one of these scrappy sock bundles, and so what it is it's just a bunch of little scraps that I assume are either misdyes, or if she has to pull a little bit off to make a braid 4 ounces or whatever, maybe there's too much on there. So this will be kind of a fun scrappy looking spin. And then this is the last braid that I got. I have been into gold and orange lately. I'm not sure what it is, but I am feeling this color right here, right now, and I'm just running with it. I'm running with it. Normally it's not something I would gravitate towards in terms of colors, but I don't know if I feel like I have enough of my kind of normal palette that I'm branching out some or what. But yeah, I'm just really enjoying this kind of burnt orange color. This scarecrow, I absolutely love the way this one turned out. So yeah, I will probably spin these up soon because we are currently at the beginning of Tour de Fleece, and I have a little spin-off going between Zoe and Gemma and myself to see who can spin the most during the tour. Zoe and I are convinced Gemma is gonna win because that woman is a powerhouse. It's like every time I turn around, she's made more yarn. So yeah, that's kind of it for my making in terms of what's going on. It has been really busy, and that is why I have not sat down and recorded in 2 months. I actually have meant to do it a few times, and it's just like life happens. Mr. Yarn Curator has an old 1970s MGB Roadster, and he took that out for a pleasure cruise over the Memorial Day weekend, and it ended up breaking down, and we spent the entire day working on getting it back to our house. And the whole weekend was kind of shot after that because we both got super dehydrated in that process. Another weekend I went, and I'll put some footage in at the end of the video, the Dolly Museum down in St. Pete had one of the traveling versions of the Van Gogh in 3D exhibit, which was phenomenal. It was so good. You go through the Van Gogh's life, and they project images of his artwork on the floor and the walls with a musical accompaniment, And as well with that, you know, you have the interpretation of, you know, different phases in his life and where he lived and his migration as an artist through various countries. But they also interspersed throughout it quotes from his journals or diaries. And it was just a really well done, really powerful exhibit. So I really enjoyed that. He's probably one of my favorite artists since I was a kid. And that was kind of a nice me date that weekend, going down there and experiencing that. And then, as I said, I spent a long time at CarMax the other day, and just, yeah, it's just been busy between getting house projects done and life and work and all of that good stuff. So I'm just looking at my notes, which make no sense. I don't know why, but this time around, I just scribbled a bunch of random thoughts on the page in my podcast journal. And in turn, what you guys get is the chaotic mess that was today's episode. But all of that is to say that, yes, it is my podiversary. And so I would like to give something back to you guys as a thank you for participating in this channel and in this community. It has brought me so much joy over the last 2 years that I've done it. I think it's 2 years. I started, since we've moved in this house, I believe I started in 2019. And so anyways, all of that is to say I have made so many friends, and I have chatted with so many people that I would not have otherwise met through this experience. And so yeah, I'd like to pay it forward a little bit to you guys for coming back year after year now. So one of my favorite hobbies, in addition to knitting and yarns and crafts and all of that good stuff, is I like to dream vacation plan, because dreaming is free. The actual vacation is not, but it's nice to dream about all the places I would love to go and visit one day. So down below in the comment box, let me know if you could go on your dream vacation. Where do you dream vacation to go to? So for me, it is often many places in Europe, the Mediterranean. I am half Greek, and so Greece is pretty high on the list. We're also part Italian and Spanish, Cuban. So all of those countries are on the list, plus the UK, plus like Germany and Austria. I recently read a book set in Albania, which is just borders Greece. So that's high on the list as well, because the company that we contract with for work, they have a large Albanian workforce who come and clean our offices. So I know 3 words in Albanian, so I need to go to Albania, obviously, to test them out. I can do Mir Menjes, which is good morning. Nachten in Mir is good night, and then Filiminderit is thank you, I'm pretty sure, but I'm also pretty sure I'm mispronouncing that. So yeah, we'll learn 3 Albanian words, and suddenly a girl thinks she can go to Albania. I'm totally kidding, but yeah, I need more Albanian lessons from our cleaner, whose name I do not want to blow up on YouTube. That's why I'm referring to her like that. Anyways, all of that, yes. So let me know where you would dream vacation. Japan is pretty high on our list as well. It's somewhere my husband really wants to go, and I will gladly go anywhere in the world, but that's pretty high on his list. And we actually have one of our friends, his old roommate, is stationed over there. Her husband is in the Marine Corps, and so it's like maybe we could try and stay with them while they're there, because those plane tickets are incredibly expensive. But anyways, yes, many places I would love to go. Pretty much the entire world I would love to see. Some places rank a little bit higher than others, but if I can go on a trip and travel, I'm there. Whether in reality or just in dreams. So that does it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of footage at the end, and until next time, I hope you enjoy whatever you're making. I hope it brings you joy, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
Felicity Yarn Studio, you're next. Have coffee ready. Andrea Mowry?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you seen the latest Andrea Mowry pattern?